But if they need to finish that up, go ahead and do it. So move on to more business.
Back here.
Rita interrupt.
In.
Be right here.
You want her in?
Here.
Good afternoon or early evening, if everyone would like to join us for the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone. Anyone who cares to address the board, the public speaks. And with that, I'll ask Ms. Foster to call roll.
Mr. Stevens?
Here.
Mr. Camp?
Here.
Mr. Lockhart?
Here.
Attorney Matthews?
Here.
Chief Brown?
Here.
Chief Stewart? Mr. Sims?
Here.
Mr. Melito?
Here.
Mrs. Simon? Here. Mrs. Lockhart? Here.
Thank you. I believe with the improvement of our sound system now, we are picking up a lot of movement of pens, pencils, paper up here. So I guess we all need to be conscious of that so that it's not going on while folks are chatting and whatnot.
He said we could turn it down if we want to, if it's too much.
Okay, I just can hear,
I'll let-
my hearing is not good, but I can hear it.
Yeah,
So if I can hear it, the people that can hear good, definitely can hear.
I turned it down a little bit.
Just so
Yes, sir.
we're aware of
Yeah,
and we watch.
Yeah.
Okay. We have before us the minutes of the January 28th regular meeting.
I
Any
have,
additions or corrections?
I have none, sir.
I have none, sir.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve as presented?
Make that motion to approve as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Call roll?
Mr. Camp?
yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes. And Mark, as soon as Chief gets out,
Yes, sir.
why we'll go on to addressing your business and then you can do your thing. But he's right now with the insurance. Next order of business is the financials. We've had the bills before us. Go ahead, Cindy.
Okay, total pending warrants were $105,902.70.
And we've had those warrants and bills to review and go over. Corrections, additions, discussion.
None, sir.
None, sir.
Hearing none. I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
And do we have a second?
Second,
Call roll.
Mr. Camp?
yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Okay, total receipts and balances were $2,669,598.13. Expenditures of $105,902.70, with an ending balance of $2,563,695.43.
Balance and receipts. Questions, comments?
I have none, sir.
I have none, sir.
All right, hearing none, I'll move that we accept the balance and receipts as presented.
Second,
Call the roll?
Mr. Camp?
yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
And then the January bank statement reconciled with an ending balance of $2,535,821.42.
Questions on bank reconciliation?
None, sir.
None, sir.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Call the roll?
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, and then the last thing we need is a motion to forward the following sick leave, vacation, and comp time balances as of December 31st, 2018. The employees have all been given opportunity to look over the balances.
They've been all approved by the employees there.
Yes, yes, they were given them at least 2 weeks ago.
I will make that motion to accept them.
I'll second that. Any additional discussion?
No, sir.
Call the roll?
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Correspondence?
There is
Mr. Walker, say yes.
no correspondence. But I would request a work session before next meeting to go over permanent appropriations, so we can pass them in March.
That would be the 25th?
Yes, and,
Do you have a time?
it won't take long, because they'll be fairly similar to our temporary appropriations, a few adjustments, so maybe 4 o'clock.
Okay, Lester, you won't be here, right?
No, I won't.
Are you okay with us going through that then?
Yeah,
John, you'll be here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll move then, we meet at 4 o'clock to go over appropriations, request of physical officer. We have a second?
Second.
Call roll?
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Camp? And then there is the Stark County Township Association dinner meeting, February 21st. Please RSVP to Kristen by Thursday, February 14th.
There's 3 books
Oh, there
on
is?
the next one.
Okay.
What's that?
There's correspondence. Okay, I see that now. Okay, from the Stark County Health Department, please complete the enclosed application for renewal of your small flow on-site sewage treatment system operational permit. If your application is not postmarked by March 1st, a 25% late fee will be charged.
What is the fee?
I'll make a
And the
motion.
fee is $40.
I'll
We
make a
pay this
motion.
every year.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to pay that. We have to.
Second. Any additional discussion about the small flow on-site sewer treatment system operator?
No, sir.
Permit.
No, sir. As long
Stark
as
County
small,
Health
slow,
Department.
That's okay.
Okay, we gotta take care of them, and the motion's been made, seconded. We had a brief discussion here. Call the roll.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Sign this right here. Okay, the next one is, in regards to Pine View Acres, please complete and return this form to the Division of Liquor Control, whether or not there's a request for a hearing. So do you want to have a hearing for Pine View Acres?
What would this be
For
for?
liquor control. It's usually, usually we defer to the chief.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, and he's sitting in the other room.
Good deal.
Get him, just quick.
Oh, we'll hold up on it, that's all right.
Okay.
If he's involved in that, I'd
Okay.
rather they, me personally, I'd rather they finish.
I haven't had any complaints.
Okay, we'll hold up on that one, is that all right, until he gets back?
Okay, and then the last correspondence is Stark County Health Department. There's a district advisory council meeting Thursday, March 7th at the Stark County Health Department. Please send a chosen representative to this meeting.
That's usually the president. So when is that, March 3rd?
March 7th
Seven.
at 7 p.m.
Yes, I will be going to this, which is fine. It's,
You're gonna go, Mike?
yeah, I usually go to it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's fine. You attend a lot of stuff for us, Les, so this is something you can do.
For the last time I went, there was maybe 7 people.
When I've attended, it's always been enough for a forum, so I don't know
Yeah.
what that number needs to be, but it's
Yeah.
always been enough.
Yeah.
Okay, that said, we do have the chief back.
Okay.
You want to reread the Pine View
Okay,
Acres?
if we want to request a hearing for Pine View Acres, the Liquor Control Board.
No, we've had no issues out there, and they're really good to us.
All right.
So we just will
Let it go.
Okay.
let it go. We don't need a request for a hearing, so that's okay. Any papers to sign on that, or?
Now I have to sign
All
that.
right, very good.
And that's all I have now.
Additional, that's it for correspondence at this point? Okay.
Yes.
We will move on to trustees' reports. I need to apologize to Mr. Sims. I saw in the minutes, the last meeting, that I was going to get together with you to go down and check out a couple of those dead-end streets for turnaround,
Yes.
and I totally forgot. So, first off, I'll ask for your forgiveness. And secondly, then, if we'll make arrangements to go down and check
That's
that kind
fine,
of stuff.
just let me know when you're available.
Okay, so I will take care of that, because it was in the minutes. That you and I needed to do that. I guess I'll give a shout out for the road department on their handling of the snow and ice removal. Good job again. I know you guys have been taxed. You have used the 2 new drivers, so that's working out to help balance.
Yes, one of the 2 we've used. The other one, we just got the results back, I believe Kristen got today, was it? So,
But having that extra
yes,
person, and it's
no,
helped.
it made a big difference.
Okay, and then you've gone over some things about the equipment with me, and Mr. Camp pointed out when we were signing the warrants there about expenses, and so
Yes.
it's not any secret that some of this stuff is starting to get really costly. Mr. Sims has talked about possibility of a couple new vehicles, but I think he and I and Cindy need to sit down and look that over as to the financial arrangements, especially Cindy, on if, number one, two can be purchased, how that could go about. If it's all right with you guys, we'll sit down, the 3 of us, and possibly be able to get back next meeting and report some stuff so you can digest it. Or if you're not here, we'll go on to the other one. But he and I have talked about that, so you saw and noticed the warrants just like the rest of us, that the stuff's adding up, it's expensive, and it's a couple trucks have broken down, and that's the older ones that are starting to get costly. So
Yes.
that said, those are a couple items I had. I'm thinking something else probably will come up, but I'll go to Mr. Camp.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Chief Stewart, you said that, will that number be up now, or can I get a number for you for this inspections? Sean Euring.
Yeah.
If I can get that, he's really waiting to do something at our church. He don't want to do it unless we got inspection first.
Okay.
So if I can get that number, and you say it will be up now to that. If somebody calls in, wants inspection, you're saying it's gonna be put over to that other phone it was there, or what?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, I appreciate that. I asked Attorney Matthews to come. Limited home rule, I've been, the speed limit's got to be a thing. When I was in Columbus, they're saying, I don't know, it was wishy-washy in Columbus, but everything else sounded really good. I got it on tape if anybody wants to hear the meeting. But I'm gonna have Jim address this if you don't mind now. What, do you mind, Jim? Yes.
Yeah, actually, you gave a fair summary of the problem in terms of whether or not a limited home rule township has authority to directly handle speed limits. It is wishy-washy. The statute, of course, broadly speaks to being granted certain power, including your local police powers. But the specific statute, 451121, has never been amended to recognize limited home rule authority to adjust speed limits. This statute still has the same language that authorizes township control over speed limits in very narrow circumstances, only if it's an unimproved road or if it's a road that fits within a commercial district or residential subdivision. But that's authority you have now, so
Right.
it doesn't appear to be any different. I did pull the last version of the legislative priorities from the group called CLOUT, which is the Coalition of Large Ohio Urban Townships. It's a cooperative agreement with the Ohio Township Association. And as recent as 25 and 2016, CLOUT was pursuing a proposal to grant townships, at least limited home rule townships, the authority to fix local speed limits. The point of this is I think it ratifies the point that the current law really cannot be read to directly grant limited home rule townships, even large urban ones, power over speed limits.
So that's one of the things that we have to, I guess we'll have another work session here coming up about it, if you guys don't mind. I think,
And the confusing point that Les wants to try and get across is that if you look on just typical internet searches at townships that are promoting limited home rule, almost all of them promote the fact that they'll be able to control speed limits.
Right, that's right.
And,
Well, that certainly was, in my mind, one of the more attractive reasons to look
Yeah.
at it. Other than that, you know, there was less,
yep,
and less interested things that I thought would be relevant, but that's my opinion.
yeah.
The regulation of the speed limit was right up on the head of the list, so, interesting. Huh.
And to also reinforce this confusion, I pulled Jackson Township's local resolutions under their home rule authority. And their local ordinance or resolution dealing with roads and speed limits only speaks to the existing section of 451121K and 504 generally. But again, the authority that they're actually citing to is the general authority that's even applicable to townships that are statutory townships. So it doesn't appear that Jackson even recognizes they have any significant authority over speed limits.
But they still do it, right?
Yeah, but it's limited to just those circumstances.
Yeah,
Commercial districts or your subdivisions.
subdivisions. Okay, well, that's something
Okay,
I was a little bit taken back by that in Columbus. I wanted him here to
well, very good.
bring it up, and that's something that we have to think more about then, for
Yes,
sure.
that's the rest of the story.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I sure appreciate you bringing that up, Jim, let me know.
Sure.
Let's see, Akron U, we met again out there. They're gonna have a proposal soon. They're gonna help, I had Brad come out, Brad Sargent had come out, and they'll get together with Brad about writing grants to get the money to help fund the cemetery, the plotting of all the people and that. They predict it'll take over a year to plot it all out. They maybe brought the drone already, they were gonna drone the whole thing, and then come out and camera everything that's there now. And then I just got another email, they are now considering doing it for sure. Should know by March, they'd like to start in, well, that'd be the last semester of college, I guess, is April. I'm not sure how that works, but they will come out for the first semester. They'll take the summer off. Then the last semester, the first semester of the fall, they'll come back out and do it. They're looking for Tuslaw and maybe Northwest to go to there's Mayor Schultz, to go and see if there's classes that, or kids that would want maybe credit, maybe college credits, to come out and help with this process. So it was really very interesting. It really was. I mean, there was two professors there from this time instead of one. And they're really, they said it's a more unique project they've had for a while. They did one in Green. I think it took over a year there. But they'll do ground radar, sonar, find the graves. And it was really impressive, but I want to let you know, I did meet them. I did get a call to both. I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
I think safety, I got that one. I'm going through a couple of them, so the park over here, one time I brought up about, we have that $30,000 grant coming from First Energy. And so I looked up about what it cost to put a court in, tennis court. Well, that's out of the program. It costs way too much. So I was wondering about sand volleyball, and then they said in a sand volleyball court, you could play badminton. And that would be me, maybe the road department helping, doing the stuff. We'd have to rent probably a skid steer and about 180 ton of sand. That would be the two big things. And I thought maybe somewhere in the $5,000, $6,000 range. I don't know if it'd be that much, but I was trying to figure the high side to do that. So, and then I thought, my brain never stops moving, so I'm sorry. But
You're fine.
if we have that grant, I'd like to see it done with something, so I thought maybe that would be something to be more, that we could afford to do. And then the lawnmower over here, I'm thinking it's getting to the point that it's, maybe should be replaced possibly. I don't know that much about it, but I remember we put some money in it occasionally, so.
You talking about the big one?
Yeah, so I was thinking about the rest of the money. putting into, I don't know, Jim had some ideas too, but I'm thinking putting the rest of that, so we show that we, I know, first Energy asked the last time we got the money, what'd you do with it? Well, at the time, like, we were really tight, you know, that was, so we used it for expenses, but I wonder if something like that would even be nice, them two projects, and I'm sure we can maybe get some donations in, I don't know for sure on that, but the volleyball court and the tennis, you know, volleyball and badminton court would made into one thing. You know, you could do both.
Now, don't you have a park board?
Yeah, we haven't met for quite a while, yeah. No, I
Okay.
can get it going again, but I wanted to know what you guys had a little idea before we go there.
Me, and this is off the top of my head,
Yeah.
that's one way to spend the money.
Yeah, I mean, this is just,
You come up with that, that's one way of looking at it. I truly want to make sure that entrance, drainage issue and stuff gets done fully.
right,
Uh,
I understand.
So if we have the funding to do that, and this 30,000 is over and above, then, I mean, I'm open and am anyway to ways of spending the rest of that. But if some of it, and I'm just gonna say this for myself, if some of it might need to be spent to finish up that project there, I would prefer that
Yeah, we have to finish that.
be completed first,
Right.
and then the other two items, I'm open to
Yeah,
further
I-
discussion, yeah.
No, we have to finish that
Uh-huh.
first. This was, I never stopped thinking, that's a
Well,
curse,
you know,
that's the way it goes, but,
That keeps you
yeah.
ahead of the class.
No, I'll echo Mr. Stevens. We got a couple little outstanding projects that are continuing that need to be finished up, but I'm all for looking ahead.
Yeah,
Once we get them little, I mean, they're not big ticket items except for the road part, entrance and widening.
The asphalt, yeah. The
Yeah,
asphalt's gonna
but we still have that little drainage along 93 to make it better to mow,
clean that up.
clean that up that we've been putting off. But other than that, no, I heard about the mower last year, that it had some issues that needs addressed, and
Well, I just thought if we do, I agree with you, we need to finish that other project up first. But if it is, it's like, we put it to something that we can put a name to it,
Yeah.
so, okay. I got that far, so
Keep
I
that,
apologize.
keep that going, hold
Okay,
that thought.
I'll get a
You're
hold
in
of,
good
I didn't
shape
do
there, Pop.
the park committee till I had an idea what you guys
Okay.
thought about, because I don't want to go to them and then say, do that, but, okay. Oh, boy, I gotta get going here, the mower, acronym. Okay, what we did, and this is confusing because Rick Gleason did not give it to me till just a couple minutes ago, so you have to bear with me here about, we were thinking about putting a new projector in here, high definition. Taking this one in the office. This one here needs, I don't know what it needs, but it doesn't work right now. Or
It
does-
needs a laptop to run it,
Okay,
or some computer to run it.
okay. This is just for you guys to think about, I think, tonight on the projector, because I don't know how to, I can't figure out what he's talking about here. He wanted, this microphone is eating batteries like crazy. So I said, give me a handheld wireless quote on the microphone. Because when Jim's sitting there, we can't pick him up. When you're sitting down there, can't pick anybody up. So we need to possibly do that. That's $489, okay, for the wireless mic. And I think Chief Stewart, or Chief Brown was gonna check on some other ways too. About,
Yeah, if you give me some models or
I'll get
something.
you some models and
some
that.
comparisons.
oh, he's got everything here. It's so hard for me. Now, I brought up about music in the offices and in the main hallway there. And if we did what he wants to do, and I don't know how to explain this, it'd be Bluetooth speakers, 3 of them. That'd be Pandora, which don't cost us anything for the program. Am I right?
Yep.
Pandora don't cost us per month or anything like that.
Correct.
So they could play music, do things like that. I don't know how he's coming up with this thing altogether, but it's $458.97 for that, for
That would be 4 speakers
Oh, 4 speakers.
and the adapters.
And adapters, okay. UPS, okay, power. But they would be, have that kind of money in that. So, something to think about and doing that.
Oh, you got me thinking.
Okay. Well, the Hibachi 4200 luminous projector was $1,200.
I'm looking at the $4,000
Yeah, I
figure at
see
the
that.
bottom
I don't
there.
think we're going
I'm
there.
starting to choke, but that's all right.
I don't think we're going there. But, in other words, it would put a new projector up there, put that projector in the office. If one of the Chief Stewart, or Jim, Chief Brown, zoning wanted to take that office in there and project it, even when we're in there doing our financials and that, or something, she could put it up on the screen. Am I thinking right, Cindy, that you could do that? You don't know? I'm thinking you could do that, and we could make a PowerPoint process, but, yeah.
You got the only quote? Is that,
I must have the only one. Oh, you have one? Oh, everybody
Yeah,
has one? I didn't know that. Everybody has one?
okay, yeah. For some reason, I got showered with paper. Oh, there it is.
You have one?
Yeah, right here.
Oh,
I
okay.
shared with Chief
Well,
Brown.
I'd like to do the music to start out with, and then we'll have to sit down and talk about this other stuff. I mean, I want to do the projector, but I don't know if $4,700 or $4,800. That's a little bit much for me to take. But the microphone probably is going to have to be replaced down the road. So if Chief Brown can get us something better price or something, so.
Lester, I'll just give you a top of my,
Yeah.
no, I won't either, because I think I shared this with you. There's 2 universal languages in this world.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Music, one of them, and smiles, the other.
Right.
Okay, so we don't have to pay for the smiles,
No.
but we gotta pay for the music. Let me think about the music.
Okay.
Give me a, meeting here. I think it's, on the surface, it sounds pretty interesting. Would this be just up here in this building, or would the police department be able to enjoy the,
Right now, it's up here.
oh, okay.
I asked Chief Brown, I don't know if I got an answer on that.
Well, I just didn't know if it encompassed the whole building, but, give me, you're just getting this out to us for
I just got
FYI.
this just now.
And you, I heard you say you'd like to go with the music. If you just allow me a little time here, a meeting or so, then
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah, I was a little shocked. I didn't think,
Oh, I'm totally blown away by this big number. If we can break it down, we'll see what's going on.
yeah. Well, I think some of these speakers he added in here was a little bit high.
Well,
I went out to one of them, like, computer places where I got, and they weren't that much money. So,
well, we want to be a user-friendly facility. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a taxpayer's house, so
Yeah.
it's not ours. So
yeah.
if we can do
Well,
something.
no, I appreciate you considering it. I just think that would be the one. I think we are gonna have to do something with either this, because it just sits there the way it is now.
Yeah, that.
We have to do something with that. No, I don't understand his quote totally, so. He has a laptop computer in here for $499, but I think we need to sit down with Chief Brown and maybe Frank and go over some of this stuff. But Pandora, you don't pay a monthly fee or anything. It's getting the speakers and the
Mhm.
UPS cords, and that might be something we can do in-house. No?
Yeah, we'll take a look and see what you're trying to do.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Other items.
I think that's it.
Mr. Locker.
Just one item, I went down to the Township Association, gathered some information that I'm sorting through, and I'll have a better report next meeting. One other thing, though, I'd like to ask Mr. Melito in zoning, has he made out anything with the Stevens property on Strasser Street, or any positives or negatives? Or?
I have heard nothing from anyone since 2 or 3 meetings ago when the folks came in here. I'm not sure if Mr. Matthews has heard anything.
No cooperation either, so
No cooperation.
you're kind of back in the same position that you didn't
Time
like
maybe to
being in
reach out
before.
again. Reach out again to.
Yeah, I think maybe one more time while the weather's still rough, because you can't really do the cleanup now
Right.
anyway, but at some point in time, with the decision that's already been made declaring it a nuisance, should probably proceed with the payment.
Since I got Attorney Matthews, can I bring up the North Lawrence property? You said you were going to, we're gonna vacate that one property?
Yeah, how about if we'll wait until Jim?
That's good.
That's okay.
Okay, I didn't want to forget it.
Other than that, I'm done, sir.
Okay, we're going into fire to chief over there, and I think we had mentioned we would try to cover Mark's stuff
Yes, sir.
earlier, but you were in the meeting, so why don't we get his business out of the way, and
Perfect.
then Mark can take off, the other Mark. and-
Okay. Thank you, sir. Our work session today with the fire department was to brief the elected officials and the department heads on the emergency operations plan that was put together and presented by Mark Shane, who took this project on almost a year ago and has worked his way through our local, county, state, and federal government protocols so that we can have an emergency plan that will kind of move right into those other agencies should we have something that escalates that high. What we have left to do, besides the training days that we're going to have, is that we need to accept the emergency plan by resolution so that we can have it as part of our documents as the plan for the township, knowing that throughout time there will be changes and updates that have to be made, so that we would have this updated on a yearly basis in the same aspect as the Ohio Fire Code that we use, so that we would just accept all the changes at the beginning of every year, knowing that there would be changes that would be put in place between those times. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'd like to thank Mark for all the time and literally hundreds of hours that he put into this, and going to all the classes that he had to go to, and talking to all the people at all different levels of government, trying to bring us into a place where we are doing our very best to protect our residents and to protect them after an incident, which is what this whole thing is about. So, Mark, thank you very much for your time and effort that was put into this. I don't think that everybody can fully understand what this whole thing is about, and they will never understand it until we have to put it in play, which I hope we never have to do. But I'm very confident that after all of Mark's hard work, that if we should run into an incident, we are very well prepared to help our residents and anybody else who happens to be involved in that incident, that we have some good direction to go. Having said that, I would ask the trustees for a resolution to accept the Lawrence Township Emergency Operations Plan as one of the documents for the Lawrence Township.
Any additional discussion? We heard the presentation and update from Mark. I think on behalf of the board, I'll echo Chief Stewart's appreciation.
Yes, sir.
Job well done.
Great job.
Thoroughly appreciate that, and I will make the motion to adopt that document as presented.
And we'll second that motion.
Call roll.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
And with that, if you have to deploy, we've got that business taken care of. Where did you say you're headed back to
Panama City, Mexico Beach.
for cleanup for Hurricane?
Hurricane Michael response.
Well, thank you.
We're in probably about the 120th operational period.
Well, thank you for that
I'll
service
be
also.
instant commander down there.
Very good. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
We got that done?
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Other items?
Yes. I would like to get permission from the trustees to send Ed Collette for a physical and drug screen. Ed was on the fire department at one point in time with Lawrence Township because of his job that he did on his personal time. He had to let one fire department go, so he currently is on Canal Fulton Fire Department and has been for years. He has been an asset to the Canal Fulton Fire Department as a training officer or training instructor. He was actually out on trustee Lockhart's pond this last weekend, Friday. That was Ed out there playing on the ice in the rescue suits.
That was pretty neat. That was pretty neat watching them guys do that.
He does a lot with technical rescue. He travels around the country going to different classes. He's been an instructor out at FDIC in Indianapolis for that Fire Instructors Week. So he comes with a lot of education and a lot of good things for Lawrence Township Fire Department. We didn't really do an interview on him because we've known him for so long, but he does have a current background check that is well above what we could ever ask for him. It's a federal one that he had to have to go out and teach at FDIC and do these other different things. So it's well more in depth than what we could ever ask for a background check. But I do need permission to get him a physical and drug screen because he does not have one that's current.
Go ahead, I'll make that motion. Appreciate his service back.
Yeah, I'll second that. Any additional discussion, questions? Call roll?
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Thank you. To finish up, I just have a couple of things for first requests. I did send you an email for this today, but I don't know that you got a chance to read it yet. So the hose rack that we have up there, right now our hose racks that we have up at the township are made of 2x4s and plywood, which we've had up there for several years. There's a lot of good things on the market right now for us to replace those with, that we could have them on wheels so that we can move them around, because right now all the hose is in the hose tower. So when you go to put hang hose in the hose tower, now it's putting water back on the rolled up hose. Makes it kind of inconvenient. So we'd like to purchase some of those items, and I have pictures of all this stuff that I will give you in a packet. I just didn't want to give it to you all right this very second. And then the second item is RAM extensions for our new power tools that we bought. That was not included in the price of the equipment that we got, but right now we are limited to one size of a RAM. So, and if we have to do something on a piece of farm equipment or a semi-truck or something bigger than a regular vehicle, we're going to be limited to what we can do for that. So there's a price there for that. The visual aid, or the visual training assistant for the CPR is a new rule that's being put out by the American Heart Association, that now all the students that we teach have to use an assistant that tells us that they're giving proper breaths and they're giving proper compressions, and it's a mannequin that has lights on it, and if you're doing it properly, it lights up. If you're doing it improperly, it then tells the student that you're doing it improperly so that you can make it better. So there's a price for 8 of those, because we can have 20 people in a class, and so we can get the classes taken care of in a reasonable amount of time. We wanted to do 8 mannequins for that. The last item, number 4 there, the CO monitors. The grant that we got from Walmart, Cindy, did we accept that money?
I don't think we received it yet.
It's still in process.
It's still in process. It was mislabeled. It's at the Walmart store. The person that had gone home already today when I was trying to get an update.
Okay.
That it is.
So it will be a 2-week request.
Okay.
We received a grant from Walmart for CO monitors that will go on the EMS bags, and they stay on continuously for 2 years. What that does is it allows us to go into someone's house, and it will immediately tell us if they're having some kind of a CO problem. A lot of times we get people who call us with flu-like symptoms, and we can't figure out why they're having flu-like symptoms, if they're actually sick or if there's a problem going on in their house. So these are made that you don't change batteries in them or anything like that. They stay on for 2 years. At 2 years, they turn themselves off. We don't have to do any kind of updates or anything to them. They just are good for 2 years, and then you throw them away. We've seen these we've seen these help for people, that's why we looked at it. As you're looking at the medical magazines and everything that comes out, you know, people that don't take care of their furnaces or don't take care of their water heaters, a lot of times, you know, we can walk into the house, we're exposed to it, then the police are exposed to it, and then, you know, we don't have any treatment for it. And then the person goes right back home and they go right back into the same problem, and then we end up taking them to the hospital several times for what we think is the flu, which could have been fixed. So it's a little bit of protection for all of us, and for us to be able to get those, you know, for free, why wouldn't we? So then the rest of that grant that was written to buy pieces, parts for the emergency operations plan, storage boxes and that kind of stuff. So when we see that, I think was the total $2,000. So the total of the grant that we received is $2,000. So when we get that back in, we'll be spending $1,000 on the CO monitors, and then the rest of that money will be on storage boxes, pencils, pens, paper, clipboards, whatever we can purchase out of that for the emergency operations plan.
Very good.
That's all I have.
I thought CPR now was just doing the repetitions and not the mouth to mouth.
Well, you can do that, but that's not what's...
That's not what it says.
No.
Okay.
If we can give people oxygen or air when we're doing CPR, that's absolutely the best. But if you don't have a CPR mask or something kind of barrier device, then, you know, the American Heart Association says it's okay for you to just do compressions. But we do want to give them air as soon as we can.
I would opt for both, Les.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you just want to be pumped on, that's your business. But I want both. We're getting these puppies. I want both, Les.
That's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
No, very good. Very thorough, and again, thank you, the other Mark, for all your efforts and so on in that report. Well done. I'm sure Chief was involved. Rich, North Lawrence.
I don't have anything except the guys, our contract's up this year, and we would like to get started on the next contract as soon as possible.
Mr. Stewart, set up a time so we can get with Mr. Rock and Mr. Moreland.
Okay.
Okay.
Other than that, things kind of quiet?
This month is turning out more busy than last month. We're up over 2 runs a day now.
Has the increased run area been the reason for that, or
No,
no?
it's been all over the place. I mean, we've had a few up there. Last month, we had 6 runs in Bachman Township. That was it. And the year before, we had 3.
Okay.
So it hasn't been that much.
Well, thank you. We appreciate everything you do in your group. Please let them know we're appreciative of that. And contract talks can start. Mr. Lockhart, there is a liaison. Thank you. Police Department.
Thank you. Got a few things tonight. First, last week I was speaking with Chief Schwartz from Canal Fulton PD. He is starting to put together the bike patrol program for the towpath. He wants some of his guys to do that. We have 2 Smith & Wesson mountain bikes that we haven't used in 15 years. I'd like approval to donate those to Canal Fulton Police so they can get their project started.
Are these the townships?
Yes, sir. We purchased them before I started here. Since I've been here, we've used them once. They've been in the shed for the last 14 years. And we have no plans on ever using them.
No plans to use them?
No, sir.
That means you guys are comfortable in them vehicles, right?
Absolutely.
That was a pretty emphatic, we have no plans.
We don't really have anywhere to use them.
Can we talk about that? Maybe we need to use them.
We could use them, our response time might be a little bit long, but.
Well, Chief Schwartz was, request was, you got together with him and you're requesting that we just sign him off to Canal Fulton's department then?
Yes, sir.
Is there any paperwork that needs to be done on all that, or how's that to be handled?
It's a good question. We need to write something up if we do that.
I'm not trying to be
Yeah,
difficult.
just to memorialize the terms.
Want to make sure that, yeah.
Nothing complicated.
And Then they'll take over the insurance premiums on them and everything and.
All maintenance care and everything goes
Liability.
back. Yes.
All right, well, I just want to make sure everything's spelled out there. Because if one of them comes back with a flat tire,
We'll make sure once he accepts them.
I'm not going to be signing any checks for it.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
second
yes,
that motion.
sincerity, very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Call roll.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes. Other items, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you. We've been working on a background check on potential applicant Joshua Teal. We're at the point I'd like to send him for a physical and drug screen. And then pending he passes that, I'd also like to send him for a polygraph test. It's something we are going to add to our hiring process starting this year. Polygraphs cost $150 per person. And the examiner would come here to the station and do it for us.
And this would be for what status?
Employment with the police department.
Okay.
I'll make,
Questions?
no, I'm sorry, I'll make that motion.
Second. Additional
No, I have no.
conversation. Call roll.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Thank you. Next thing I have is, we are running out of our shoulder patches. Akron Uniforms called us. They only had a handful left, and we had 12 downstairs. So I need to purchase some uniform patches. We previously bought them through Emblem Enterprises. They sent me a quote for 500 shoulder patches for $535 and 50 pairs of sergeant chevrons for $99.50. We currently pay $5 a pair for the chevrons, so these are two. So it's quite a bit of savings by going with Emblem Enterprises. So the total cost for all of our patches would be $634.50 plus shipping.
And then the same purveyor for both?
Yes, sir.
This is a second request.
It's a first request.
What
I
is-
asked that if I could forego that, because we only have like a dozen patches
I
left.
thought I saw a conversation in the last.
That was for us, sir.
Fire
That was for
department.
Your patches.
We were in the same,
How does this
Same
compare,
okay.
how does this compare price-wise?
his is better.
Okay. I'll make that motion for better. Okay.
Do we have
Second
a
that
second?
motion for better.
You weren't slow on that either. Further discussion or call the roll?
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
For better.
Yes. That was an ouch.
I tried to catch him. I called, I think, Chief Stewart a couple days too late.
A day late,
Placed his
yep.
order.
A day late and a dollar short. Okay.
But I do have one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Switching over to Mark's radios, the county doesn't have a surplus of radios. They've asked that we program one of our radios for Sergeant Henson to use on the drug task force. So we would need to add encryption to that radio. To add encryption to it, it costs $566. So I'd like approval to do that, but take it out of the drug trust fund account, since it's used on the drug task force.
Do we have that fund in there?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
right here.
That fund's still there?
And you say Stark County, what was that first part they don't want?
In the past, they had a surplus of radios, so when Brad,
But
they
they
signed
do
him a
not have
radio.
it, huh?
Yes, they don't have that surplus
Okay.
anymore.
And that'll come out of that fund?
Yes, sir.
Money's there, talk with the gentleman?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Call roll?
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
So if I could get you guys to sign off on the request for the drug fund so I can process that. We have to type that up for the expenditure.
What is it
You
now?
already have it
That's the
done?
form that Mr. Matthews typed up, the request that I have to use money out of that account.
Oh, out of that account. I remember that.
So this is the original, if I could get,
So you say Camp needs to sign it?
do all the trustees sign or just Mr. Camp, since he's my liaison?
Yeah, I think it's just the one, the way that's prepared.
Okay.
Where do you sign it at? I didn't
It's
see
just,
it.
there's no signature. I might have cut it off when I scanned it in from the bottom.
Okay, all right. Did we approve this?
Yeah, we just did.
See, anything to do with drugs, boy,
I
that's
know.
that's the man. He's signing off.
Works for me.
Nice job, boss.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh,
Road Department.
Thank you, sir. I have a few things. First thing is we've got two roads that are shared, that are like split in the center because of annexations with the city. One is Sheraton, and the other is Lafayette. I spoke with Gary Hoskins today, the street superintendent for Canal Fulton, and you know, if you do pave, it's kind of hard to maintain one lane of the road, to either pave it or chip and seal or this or that. So what I was wanting to bring it to the board and see what your thoughts were about maybe seeing about entering, having an agreement with the city on, for instance, Sheraton. They own, up by 21, they have all of it, up towards 21 and towards the city limits. There's like I don't know, about 1,000-foot section there, one lane that's ours, that I thought maybe the city could maintain that. Gary and I spoke about this today. And then we would take the lane on Lafayette, which is about 1,400 feet. And we would just, you know, all road maintenance, we would take care of Lafayette, they would take care of Sheridan, done. That would be your ditching, you know, everything, chip and seal, striping, snow, ice removal, everything. He's gonna speak with, I believe the mayor and the city manager tomorrow at their department head meeting and see what their opinions are about
Would
that,
we,
their thoughts.
would we need to have some kind of a agreement drawn up to address that?
Yeah, they're commonly referred to as a dual road agreement,
Dual road?
where it's basically a road split. There's dual arrangements right now to deal with it.
It's just hard to maintain one lane of road. You know, if you chip and seal that lane, all that gravel is in the other lane now, and, you know, cars, nothing for it to hold on to, so. And asphalt, you know, you just be bumping over.
Gentlemen, maybe not.
So just a
Makes
thought to
sense.
see what you guys think. He's gonna bring it up to his,
Well,
board
Joel's here.
tomorrow,
Yeah,
yes.
So you
He's gonna bring it up to the
Okay.
mayor and.
If, yeah, nothing complicated, you folks know the drill as far as what you feel would be best suited. I'm saying you, I'm saying the two road superintendents best suited for them, best suited
Yes.
for us. You used Lafayette. We would have, they would have, if that's the
Sure,
arrangement
yes.
you all feel is comfortable with. I don't
I
have.
had no problem with it either,
So,
talking
you
to
know.
him.
Because the one lane in Lafayette comes from the township, you know what I mean? It's going up the hill into the
Okay.
township, so it already joins, and then we would just take the other lane to the bottom of the hill. And they surround the 1,000-foot section that we have on Sheridan, which would only make sense
Yeah, well,
to
you
do
bring
that,
it up.
so.
I mean, we don't need a motion tonight. but
No,
we'll
no,
let-
I just wanted to,
We'll let Jim, he's aware of it, and if we get the paperwork drawn up and Joel and his group decide that that's a go-to on their end, why, we can get the stuff done,
okay.
okay?
Um,
Sound all right? Other items?
Yes, the next thing is the road mileage. From the last meeting, we discussed that. The county said we are to sign what we have now. Most likely it'll be changed next year. He hasn't, nothing's been changed yet in the
On
system
their
for
end.
that, so.
And they're the ones that do the,
Exactly, he
Okay.
said, so sign what we have now, just submit it, and then
Okay.
next year we'll see the change.
so we can accept the road mileage as presented
Yes,
from the county for 2/18, or 19, I mean. Is that 2/19?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
That's it.
It's not all right with you, gentlemen?
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay, I'll move that we accept the 58.185 miles of road, public roads, Florence Township,
second,
maintained from the Starr County Engineers records. Do I have a second?
second,
Call the roll?
Mr. Camp?
yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
And that'll be good for this year? and
yes,
next
and then
year.
next year, there should be, the change should be on next year's.
Okay. Additional items?
I think you had,
Yes.
you all signed it.
Okay. Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, the next thing I have is, Mr. Matthews and I were speaking before the meeting about vacating the end of Water Street. And I have to get a measurement on the road before we can do that to see if it matches up with our mileage inventory or not.
Okay.
So I will have that for the next meeting.
Okay, you're working on that.
Yes.
And after he has that information, we have the resolution and the petition prepared, so we'll get the next step in the process.
Very good. Additional items?
Last thing I have is, could I have a brief work session after the meeting, maybe 10 minutes?
Yeah.
To go over equipment.
Gentlemen? Okay, I'll move, we have a brief,
Real brief.
put that in there in capital letters, ladies, brief. Work session with the road superintendent following our meeting.
Well, this one you have to get there, we have to sign
Do we have a second?
it. Second,
Call roll?
Mr. Camp?
yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
And as you say, it's to discuss equipment.
Yes.
Okay.
Brief.
Brief.
Other items?
I checked our road salt usage, and we are below what we've used the last year. So,
Okay, well, that's nice to hear.
yeah, for now.
What is the price of salt now per ton?
68.
Okay. Are you bringing it up about the storage building?
The other thing I have is, I was approached by a gentleman over on Orville Street that owns the property in front of our building on Orville Street. And he was inquiring about purchasing the building, basically just the building and the property it sits on. So what we would do is probably we would look at squaring that off and selling him the building and keep all the property in the back. It's just a thought. I didn't know what your guys' opinions were on it.
I think you'd have to give him like 15 feet all the way around it, or 10, you know, whatever the county.
Yeah, we would figure something out, whatever we needed to, but
Around the building. He has agreed to do it if he called me. He has the finances and everything,
Yes.
if we want to go ahead and do. I don't know if we can do that without
Yes.
bidding it. He owns the property right in front. Nobody can get to it.
I spoke with Mr. Matthews.
Fortunately, you can. You do not need to bid that.
Okay.
As long as it's a unanimous decision among the three of you.
Oh, okay. But he's ready to move if we are.
The only downfall to this, the only thing that I see is that our radio antenna is on a pole over there on the property. That's on the property we would end up keeping, but the power for that pole, for our radio over there in the cabinet, is coming from that building.
He'd have to give us, I don't know, could you do that? He'd have to give us some kind of,
And you'd need to preserve an easement, basically, for the power.
But yeah, who would pay for the power for the, you know, because it's coming off that building. So I don't know if we can, there's a transformer there, I don't know if Edison would be able to put a power on the pole, meter on the pole for that or not, I don't know.
It would be something to look into.
But that, other than that, I mean, it might be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's what we had discussed that the other week when
yeah, we did.
the power.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if it,
I know.
if it's gonna turn out to be a win-win, which it sounds like it is, because we've talked about that building and not really needing to use it for anything anymore. He's got an interested party. That way he'll be happy with the situation, and we'll still maintain a piece of property down there for, and have egress and ingress.
Yes,
Have
yes,
that-
we.
Now, how would he get in and out of there to that building?
He would we would use the same drive. So it would be like a shared drive, basically. You could never do anything on that driveway, you know, so that way they could get into the building, we could get into our property.
But we would
I don't know.
We would own the property up to Orville,
Yes,
not him.
yes.
If we ever sold that,
I don't know, that's something we should probably talk to zoning about, see what kind of frontage we need if
yeah,
we're
if we
ever
ever
to sell
sold
that.
that, just so he wouldn't be landlocked if he needed to get in.
He said
there.
he would like first option to buy, the rest of it when the township, when and if they were
Oh, okay.
to sell.
He wants that in the contract, it says.
Well, there's
First,
That he has
there's
first
a legal
opportunity to buy that.
man there, so.
yeah.
So, what is the frontage? What?
Well, there's a couple of things there that you might not be able to split it into two properties. I don't know what the frontage is there, but it's not very big. And then the other thing is that you understand that's a residential district. I would be, if it were me, I would be very curious to know what whoever that person is plans on doing with it. Because, you know, that's a building where it's gonna probably, somebody's gonna wanna probably do, I would assume, some type of business there. I don't know what kind of
I
electric.
believe he's gonna store his equipment that is sitting outside right now that you see when you drive by.
I don't even know who you're talking about. Is it the gentleman next to it?
It's in front of the building, yes.
Okay. Well, that's my 2 cents, is that, keep in mind, that's a residential district, and you can only do residential uses there. Storing equipment, I guess if it's equipment that's personal equipment would.
It's a hobby.
Hobby equipment would certainly be, but, you know.
Equipment's been there forever.
Right.
Well, we'll
And just throwing that out there,
further
and then
pursue it with
I can
Frank,
look
yeah.
to see what.
I don't know what's,
Well,
you know,
frontage is.
yeah,
I don't
we'll
know.
you know, here, he's got frontage for his
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
So that could be arranged.
So
yes.
what he would have to do in that is put that all together
We
as
could
one
work that,
lot
I'm
with
pretty
his
sure that
property.
could be arranged, right.
He would have to put that in as one lot.
We could probably work something
Okay.
out there, yeah.
Yeah, and then we would still maintain the frontage for the back of the
Correct.
property.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll have to discuss that.
Well,
see
no,
what's
I think
we'll
that's,
get to some of the,
that's a doable situation there.
like that, with, as long as he joined that.
Yep.
okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Jim. Other items?
No, that's all I have, thank you.
That'll take us to zoning.
I do not have anything this evening that I can think of, thanks.
You just answered that one question there for us, so that's a good one. You did have something. Attorney Matthews, other items?
Cindy has the updated policy for credit card use, and copies have been distributed to the rest of the board members. This is drawn from a version that was recommended by the Ohio Township Association. What I did was I deleted provisions of the proposed form that only apply to limited home rule townships and have no application here at this point. And then what I did is I modified one provision to deal with a contingency. I don't know what your current action is, Cindy, if you have people that have their own credit cards, like Jim might have some, the chiefs might have their cards.
Right
No.
now, I have custody of them.
Okay. Then this version provides for that option and how the cards are then to be returned to you. So I left that provision in here. It's on page 3 at G. If the fiscal officer retains possession of the credit cards, an authorized user must return a card to the fiscal officer within a reasonable time. The board would need to fix what that reasonable time is. 24 hours, 36 hours, 3 days.
That's the only thing we'd change?
That's the only thing you would need to decide, except for one other item, which is the maximum transaction allowable for any credit card use.
I think our Huntington, we have 2 Huntington Visa cards, and they're each at $5,000.
Okay. But even with that limit, you could set the maximum transaction at a lower level, if you wanted to. $1,000, $2,000, $1,500, whatever you felt was.
Yeah, usually, like transactions over so much, the employees get approval.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't spend over, we can't spend over $300. without-
300, okay.
Yeah.
Breakdown on the truck, hydraulic lines, it was.
I said, if
Most
it's
places
an
you
emergency,
charge
like right now I have a radio
Mhm.
that went down in one of the vehicles, so we just get that fixed because that's considered emergency equipment. But if it's, something else, we want to buy a ladder or something, we can't just go out and buy it. We have to
Okay.
get approval.
You submit the request, get the
Yep,
approval.
that's our 2-week or 1
That's
week
good.
request, first request, that's why we do that.
Okay.
Don't we have to have this in by a certain day, wasn't it, February?
The recommendation was the 1st of February, but you already had a policy in place that goes back a ways. This is to just bring it up to the current standards.
I mean, do we want to act on it?
Yeah.
If,
Yeah, I think-
all you need to do are just
Yeah.
consider the 2 figures that are blank,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
within the maximum allowable transaction, and how long you think an employee should have a card out.
Usually,
Probably 24 hours. I
24
mean,
hours?
yeah, I don't,
wouldn't you say, usually you would go during work and
yeah, I
get
think,
what you needed and
what do
return
you
it.
guys,
I'm fine with it.
24 hours seems,
No credit card may remain signed for a period longer than 24 hours? Is that what everybody's hearing?
that's kind of what I have.
24 hours, if that's, well, there were 24, we're going there.
I've got a question. It can't be signed up for more than 24, it has to be returned within 24 of being used, because like, you guys go to the township conference. Do you take a credit
We
card
didn't
with
take,
you?
none of us have a credit card.
Okay. So I go to the chief's conference, usually I take it with me, just in
Oh.
case,
Oh,
and I'm there
okay.
for 3 days.
So would we,
Oh!
Yeah,
Let's
that's
go
a,
into, let's go into
that's a good
days.
thing he raised that, because you would not want to interfere with that,
no.
because it seems to be the practical way to use the card.
So we put nothing in there.
No, you just put a
something.
longer period of time.
Well, how long
Can
then?
it be like 24 hours after use? Because if I have it for 3 days, my approved use is that time I have it for. So I can return it within 24 hours after that conference?
Or just fix it at 4 days,
Oh.
or
Yeah.
capture that.
40.
4 days.
4 days?
6 hours.
How about if the
6
conference
hours.
is longer? I'm not trying to be difficult, but
Without,
Your
or can you put
Technically,
just
you'd need to
24
modify it,
hours
that's true.
or longer with prior approval?
You could write that in as well.
4 days. with-
Chief, you would have to make this complicated.
Good thing you raised it though, that's
Yeah,
right.
no, it's good we get it now. Okay, I'm scratching out the 24 hours here. What are we gonna put in this puppy here?
4 days.
Well, do you want it to be ordinarily 24 hours unless there's separate approval, something like that?
All right,
Yeah.
unless what, separate approval?
Yeah, separate approval.
Okay. I can leave 24 in there then. Unless separate. Which, if Chief's going on a conference and he brings it up, or Chief, Road Superintendent, whoever, Frank, somebody, they can bring it up. And then we can say, okay, unless, and make that provision if they have a credit card.
Yeah, he's separately approved to do that, yep.
If they don't have credit cards.
I understand that, yeah, okay.
What was the limit?
Same as last
What was the limit we were going on?
We didn't get to that yet.
Oh, okay.
I have a breakdown, we have to use a credit card on the weekend.
Well, Chief, if you were to use the card over the 3-day period, what would be the maximum transactions?
Would it be for a vehicle breakdown or something like that? I don't know. I mean, what,
You can always
tow
call
truck and repairs.
Okay. So just to cover contingencies like that?
Yes.
Where's this line for
Yeah.
dollars? No transaction may
Page 2.
exceed. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Well,
Which-
this might, we have the $300 for what other purposes, emergency? Is that what we heard? They can spend up to 300 without getting approval. I don't know if this is, the limit on the cards or what?
The limit is 5,000. Very rarely have.
No transaction may exceed $5,000.
What?
Don't look at me.
Well, I'm
Those
just,
hydraulic
well,
lines.
no,
for the
well,
trucks are
I'm
expensive.
just trying to cover.
We maxed his credit card out.
Well, I'm
When we
trying to
were
cover,
down.
and no transaction will exceed $5,000. If that's the limit of the card,
Okay.
Yeah, it's easy.
why not? I beat it up, I'm just throwing it out there.
Captures the convenience of the card too, if you need it for
I
that
mean,
transaction.
You want to make a motion to accept it?
Okay, so this is our new credit card policy for Lawrence Township to be adopted with the items discussed, 24 hours of remain signed out for a period of 24 hours unless separately approved.
Yep.
And also the limit on the transactions may not exceed $5,000 per card.
I'll second that.
Additional discussion. Call roll?
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
So now this puts us in compliance with what Cindy brought up,
It
and
does.
you guys brought up. Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
Unfortunately for Cindy, she'll have to pay attention to the exhibits that are attached.
I seen that, but what
I already knew they were coming.
Okay. Exhibit A is a simple one. It's just so that you can better keep track of who is an authorized user on the cards. Exhibit B, though, is a form that's recommended by the OTA, modified to fit your township. For any time that a person does take a card out, that person has to acknowledge receipt of a copy of the policy as well as the card.
So they'll sign out each time they take
Yeah,
it, plus.
so the example of when the police chief wants to go to the conference, you take the card out. This form will have to be on record that you have the card and you're aware of the policy.
Very good. Yeah,
Okay.
but that'll be up to Cindy to.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's one more thing that she kind of has to
Yeah.
administer, so.
But then also, in addition, to time over 24 hours has to be separately approved.
That's also
So
right.
if anybody comes to us and says, I'm gonna need it for 3-4 days, or I have it out, that's got to be approved and in the minutes. Okay, very
Okay.
good.
That's it.
Other
So
items,
Should we
sir?
approve it? Should we approve his taking it to the chief's conference?
When's your chief's conference?
It's in May. But I can do that the meeting before the conference, that way
As long
it's,
as you remember.
Just don't forget.
Yeah, and we'll have a form ready for you too.
if I forget, you can just drive it down to me, Jim.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Hey, you're burning both of them tonight. You got the fire chief and I get the road superintendent. You wanna get on Frank here for a minute before we close?
If you want me to.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Any additional or
I
other
have-
business? Okay, Cindy?
Yeah, we need to approve Whitaker Myers, the Ohio plan for our liability insurance. This is renewal.
Mhm. Yeah, we had a good discussion with our insurance rep, Mr. Bender. Does a good job for us, Whitaker Myers. So I'll move that we approve the policy for 2019 from Whitaker Myers as presented earlier by Whitaker Myers.
Did we do anything with that other thing?
Then, well, we'll approve just the regular.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
yeah, this year I want to read about it.
And this
Okay.
would be a separate.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
separate.
that's
Okay.
fluff.
I got you now.
That's fluff. Do we have a second?
Second.
Call roll?
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
And then approve the renewal of the Provident plan.
Mhm.
This is for the fire and police, part-time police and firemen.
So move.
Second.
Call roll?
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Okay, additional items or any public speaks? No public speaks? Items all covered? Good meeting. Folks, I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So do it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Camp?
Yes.
I believe
For
we
a
have,
brief work session.
yeah, we have a brief work session. Yeah.
Forgot all about it.
Thanks for coming, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
This is that burnout of cloud on the legislative agenda. And here's the mention regarding. On the next page.
Starting the fire.
Essentially, they're proposing to